have a huge number of students, but awareness regarding issues of vocational training or opportunities through skill upgradation are right now limited. He gets the kind of exposure at an international level and then goes, and these become places of aspiration where people will come in and train.
So today we have with us Mr. Rohan Chand Thakur, who is an IAS officer of 2009 batch from Himachal Pradesh cadre. He's posted as Director Town and Country Planning and Mission Director of the State Skills Mission. Till recently, he also headed the Department of IIT, doing some wide-reaching initiatives during the Corona lockdown. He has an MBA from IIM Ahmedabad and a BA Honours in Economics from St. Stephen's College. He is a Chevening Gurukul Fellow. Before this, he has served as District Collector of Shimla and Hamirpur districts. Thank you so much for joining us, Rohan. It's a pleasure having you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So just to begin with, so what are some of the key programs that you're running for the skilling, and what aspects of skilling are you most focused on as a part of the state skills mission?
So the state skill mission actually is focusing on a variety of programs which cater to different sections of society. So you have the short-term training programs, which are meant to be like gap-filling programs for people who are already in the workforce. You also have programs for students in higher education, which are the Bachelor in Vocation, actually having a BVOC degree courses, which are basically combining skills and academics to give actual degrees at the end of 3 years. You also have the graduate add-on program, in which the skills program is done along with your academic courses. So you do a conventional course in the first half of the day, and the second half of the day you do your skill course. Apart from that, we also have direct tie-ups with the various technical education institutions of the state, where somebody is training to be a carpenter or training to be a welder. In the first half of the day, we also realize that employability at that level is enhanced if you have multi-skills. And therefore, we also have tie-ups with ITS to do cross-skilling. So if you're doing a certain course in the morning, as a part of your certificate course, you do another add-on course in the afternoon or in the evening. Apart from that, we also have tie-ups with institutions of well-renowned institutions for upskilling. So we have this entire idea of tying up for IT skills with NILIT as well as with the CDAC, in which we have graduates, in fact. So, we are targeting graduates, we are targeting people who are not yet into college. And then, the state in which, in Himachal Pradesh, we have a relatively high per capita income, relatively high aspirations, and relatively high even educational attainment status. So therefore, our focus is on upskilling, as well as on giving a chance to focusing on the graduates, because in Himachal you are not going to get there's not going to be much attraction for doing jobs of 6,000, 7,000 rupees, churning out security guards, churning out low-end jobs. There's going to be no uptake, no traction you're going to get if you do that. So you need to go for definitely jobs which are going to give you anything upward of 12 to 14,000. And we are targeting people who have done, because that's the average level of attainment here, literacy level is high. So focusing on upskilling as opposed to doing too many short-term courses.
Wonderful. And talking about the individual, I would say, likings of the students or the beneficiaries who are the part of the programs. So what would you say is the most sought after course or skilling program as when you look at the youth coming to your programs? And how do you make sure that you are able to cater to, like you said, that you have already partnered with a lot of universities and agencies to also provide you with like varied courses? So how do you make sure you get more of those courses, considering as these are changing times and we would need more courses for varied skills?
Yeah, so the point is that we are tying up with private training service providers, we are tying up with ITIs, we are tying up with people even in the higher education institutions. We're tying up with specialized institutions like CDAC, NILIT, National Institute of Food Technology, National Institute of Financial Management in Faridabad, the Indian Chartered Accountants Institution, association, ICAI. So the idea, the very purpose is that, you have course, you need to focus on, we don't mind tying up with as many people as possible, but the focus has to be on quality, because we don't want to play a numbers game. In Himachal, we don't need to play a numbers game. We need to give a quality game, and the quality game means that you mobilize and you screen people properly, you do a proper aptitude test, then you take them from there. An attitudinal test, attitude and aptitude both are important, because we don't want bad fish in our class. One rotten apple spoils the whole pack. So that's very important. Number two, you need to have good infrastructure, good trainers, and then good industry connect. So if you take these four things together, then that is the way. So any institution which is willing to cooperate with us on these four pillars, we are willing to tie up with them.
And you touched upon the point of numbers. So not talking from the point of view of the state skills mission, but from the point of view of the youth that's there in the state. So considering there's a huge pool of youth in the country itself. So I'm sure that the state would also have a huge pool. So how do you deal with that bigger pool of students, and considering what are the challenges that you face when you come in contact with them?
So I think one is, we have a huge number of students, but awareness regarding issues of vocational training or opportunities through skill upgradation are right now limited. The knowledge, opportunities are there, but the knowledge and the awareness is on the lower side. Exactly. So that is one big challenge, to make them aware that they need to kind of, really know what are the options available. You don't have to do conventional college, even if you don't have the aptitude for it. You may have an aptitude to be very good with your hands, and maybe you should be doing a technical education in, a degree or a certification or a diploma. So that kind of awareness is something which we really need to work on more. That is one area. The other area is that when it comes to the sheer numbers, for us, the bigger challenge is, access to education in Himachal has been there. In the 1980s, we had the primary education revolution here, in which, we had a huge number of primary schools and secondary schools being constructed. And I would say the last 15 years has seen a spurt in higher education institutions. However, just because you have huge number of institutions spread out throughout the state doesn't mean that you're able to ensure quality of the same.
Indeed.
And therefore, quality is a natural corollary to the quality is employability. And the point is that if you are not able to make them aware that, you don't, the certificate doesn't, your graduation degree doesn't matter, counts for nothing if you're not employable. And therefore, we are trying to now make them, we have an Asian Development Bank sponsored program for the next 3 years now. We've already done 2 years of the program, in which we have elements of civil works, which is development of skill infrastructure. We have an element of upgradation of our technical education institutions, and we also have an element of trainings. But more than that, we also have a certain element for career counseling, guidance, and awareness. And I think that is where the thrust has to come in. Trainings will only be successful if the students are aware of what they're getting into. Because in many of the states, there's a tradition and there's a need. You go to many of the states like UP, Bihar, there you have traditional caste groups. You also have traditional village society, rural society, which is structured in a particular way. It was also hierarchical, which ensured that certain trades survived. Now Himachal is not like that. Himachal, you have had a very, very different socio-economic structure, a flatter socio-economic structure. People are more aspirational, and therefore we need to identify and play to our strengths. So, the services sector is one place for which we got a lot of demand, going back to your question. So, tourism and hospitality is an area for which there's a lot of demand. We have a lot of demand for the financial sector industry. We have a lot of demand even for motor mechanics, though it's more on the manufacturing side and not on the services side so much. But and of course, the fourth area for which we have a lot of demand, we have a lot of uptake, a lot of traction is information technology and associated services. So these are the 4 or 5 sectors which are aspirational, cater to the needs of the state, and also paying to the the upskilling thrust of our entire program.
Wonderful. And so these aspects that you mentioned, so more or less they fall in the category of, say, a vocational training or a job particularly. So what other than job, say in the terms of entrepreneurship or starting small businesses? So is there something of a program that you're running around those aspects as well?
Yeah. So, you know what, when it comes to, developing an entrepreneurial culture is also a lot to do with, the socio-economic structure that is definitely there. We do have entrepreneurs. We have entrepreneurs in the field of tourism and hospitality. There are many people, who have worked for a few years in, either a larger setting like a Mumbai or a, Bangalore or a Delhi, and then they've come back and set up their own establishments. However, that requires, in the hospitality sector, that requires a certain level of capital, a minimum level of capital investment is required for the same, and which in these times is available. But I don't think there are really times for which people really have the risk appetite to do something like this right now. But having said that, there are many of them who are doing that. There are many of them are horticulturist entrepreneurs also, people who are basically orchardists, but they also do various horticulture related things on the side. So there is immense scope of that. But keeping the situation right now, our main thrust is what we are suffering from right now is a lot of uh, unemployment. That's the challenge which we face. That unemployment among the youth is our biggest challenge. And so even to become an entrepreneur, you can't really tell a 23-year-old boy who comes from a lower middle class background that, hey, listen, you become an entrepreneur. His parents won't even accept that. First idea is always stability. And therefore, for stability, the first thing is you get a job, you gather the necessary experience, you do your 10, 12, 5, whatever number of years you feel comfortable with, then you come back and do entrepreneurship thereafter. So so that is the way we approach it as a skill mission. We are a small mission. We've started 3-4 years ago. We have certain good focus areas, and right now our main job is how do we entrepreneurship. If somebody takes it up, we encourage. We try to tie up with banks. We also try to guide them as to what is the kind of decisions they should be making. However, our primary focus has to be on wage employment and good quality wage employment. That's the focus which we have here, because right now I think the entrepreneurial culture is there. However, for that to develop further, first there has to be a more of a culture of working in the private sector, which is not there. There's more of a thrust on public sector employment. And it's natural that over a period of 10 to 12 years, the entrepreneurial culture will seep in, influenced by the private sector.
Definitely. And now coming to the current situation that the whole country and the whole world is in. So the COVID pandemic that's hit us. So you talked about providing these vocational trainings in these jobs, but right now even that would be difficult for a lot of individuals to be a part of, and even for you as a state skills mission to impart those trainings there in in-person mechanism. So is there something that you've invented or done differently to cope up with the situation?
So what we did was this, we did try to do certain online classes in the beginning, but the response which we got from the students as well as from the trainers was not satisfactory. Because you could do simple things like soft skill courses, language courses. You can still get a certain percentage of work done online, but when you are actually working on machines, we are not right now in that. We don't have the technology tools to work on that. However, under the Asian Development Bank project, we are thinking of exploring the HoloLens and various other technologies which give a three-dimensional teaching ability to the trainer. I think that is something which we need to work on. We need to have a technology solution to it. We can't simply say that, there are solutions available. They are slightly expensive right now, but surely we could be experimenting with that. We hope to do that. That is the first question. The second question is, that what is our priority right now? Our first priority is that students who have completed a certain percentage of classes on the courses which were underway when the lockdown came in, their effort should not go wasted. And therefore, we have to push for certifications and accreditation for those people who have done a certain percentage. That's on the administrative side. But the greater challenge for us is that we also started what is called a skill register, in which people who came back to Himachal post lockdown, we asked them to register themselves, and we then at the same time open up a dialogue with industry, asking them that what is the kind of requirement you have in these circumstances, and then we try to marry the two. So that kind of coordination, facilitation is something which we are doing. And I must say we are getting very good response, no much from the small scale industry, because many of them do require labor, do require trained staff, and the amount of resources they have to spend on it is disproportionately high. So they're getting in touch with us, and we are doing this. We are acting as a bridge between the demand side and on the supply side.
That's good. And now coming to the end of the conversation, so would there be any future avenues that you would like to explore going forward? And how is it that you see the state skills mission driving the force for youth in the coming times?
I think this is something which is right at the top of our mind right now, because under the project which we are doing along with the Asian Development Bank, we are setting up skill centers all over the state. We are setting up close to 9 model career centers, close to 16 skill centers across the state, and a center of excellence for tourism, hospitality, and for information technology.
Right.
Now, the thing is, we don't want to go down the conventional route of having government running these institutions, because it's not the role of the government, is more as a facilitator. So that's something which we are very clear about. So we are in search of the areas we want to identify are cutting edge areas in information technology, as well as in tourism hospitality, because that's the strength of the state. We are trying to get private operators in, preferably international operators, who are going to be working on, these are going to be institutions of excellence. So it's not supposed to be catering to the mass market. This is going to be catering to people who have the attitude, aptitude, and the desire to actually push through, really want to upgrade their skills. So these are going to be postgraduate kind of institutions. A person comes in after doing a bachelor's degree, and then he gets the kind of exposure at an international level, and then goes, and these become places of aspiration where people will come in and train. Now, we have one of them coming up in Wakna Ghat, which is around 45 minutes from Shimla. This is a huge facility for tourism, hospitality, and IT. And we also have a center in Sundarnagar, which is in the heart of the state, where it's a smaller center. But we want to encourage these skills. These are going to be focusing on graduates, on people not on the mass market, people who already have achieved, have a technical background, have the academic so-called background, but don't have but since there's a lag between the curriculum and the job requirement, what the industry is demanding, there's a gap. We want to cover that through these institutions, make these role models, and then hope to replicate them in the other parts of the state for other sectors.
Well, that's great to hear that you already have a plan in action and you're already working towards it. So
Thank
that
you so
brings
much.
us to the end of the conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.